Hey guys, it's Andrew here from Semi Robotics, and in this tutorial we're going to look at using the Blue Prism Google Vision skill to identify landmark images of pyramids, the Eiffel Tower, and then you can use that to identify the Statue of Liberty and other landmarks and so on. So the first part of the tutorial will be actually setting up the credentials, and if you've already done this before for the Google skills, you can skip to the timestamp on the screen to jump straight to the action. Otherwise, let's jump into it. Alright, so what you want to do is to get this file, you can either download it in the description below. Otherwise, head on over to the Blue Prism Digital Exchange. You want to search for Google and sort by most popular. That's where you'll get your out-of-the-blocks Blue Prism skills. I found that unfortunately the search engine isn't too great currently, but by sorting by most popular, you'll typically get what you want. So you want to download the Vision Skill Cloud. Go download asset. Make sure you are registered and log in. Now that we're logged in, hit download asset and you'll be able to download your Blue Prism skill. Now let's jump into Blue Prism and import it. Alright, so what we want to do is we need to go File, Import. Before we import the actual skill, which I've got here or in the folder, if you haven't already, we're going to need to go to the Blue Prism folder, go to the VBO folder, and in your installation directory, which mine is C, Program Files, Blue Prism Limited, Blue Prism Automate VBO, you'll see this utility JSON. You want to open that, make sure you have this already imported. I already have it in my Blue Prism database. Once you have that, we're going to go File, Import again. I have this skills folder and I've got all my Blue Prism skills in here. We're going to open up that skill. Hit next, and you're going to see it actually needs to either create a Google JWT token or there'll be conflicts. Don't worry about resolving it immediately. We'll get around to that in a moment. Just import for now. So import, hit finish. And before we actually use it, you'll notice you have this credential now called Google JWT. So you actually need to fill this out in order for your Blue Prism to work with the Google skill with your access credentials. And you can set that up by heading to console.cloud.google.com/APIs/credentials. You will need a Google account and you will have to set up a project. So from this drop down menu at the top, if you don't already, create a new project by hitting new project. I've already got one here. And in this credential screen, you want to go create credentials and you'll need to create a service account key. Hit create. You can either select an existing account or create a new service account. If you create a new service account, you simply need to put in a name and ID. I've already got one called Blue Prism, so I'm going to use that with the key type JSON. Hit create. This is going to download a file. It's called a private key and it's going to save it to your computer. And you cannot recover this, so make sure you store it somewhere safely and don't share it with anyone because it contains the access to actually use your Google Cloud account. So I'm just going to open my file and share this with you guys. I'm going to delete it after so no one will be able to use it. So I've got that JSON file open up in a code editor and we need two pieces of information from this. The first one we need is this client email. This is your account name. You need to copy that, place that into the issuer. And next up is private key. You'll notice you have this private key and there's this massive long key. You need to copy everything in between the quotation marks, including the /n, and that's the password to your account. So paste that here, and that's why you don't share it with anyone else. It'll take a second. Once that's pasted, go to access rights, and we're going to allow any role, all processes and all resources to be able to access our Google credential. Once that's set up, hit OK, and you'll have set up the authentication to actually be able to use Google Vision, Google Translate, and every other Google skill you can use under your account. Next up, before we actually use it in Blue Prism, you do need to enable your account by enabling billing. Google won't let you call it unless you put in a credit card, unfortunately. They'll give you a free trial for a year and a couple of $100 worth of credit. And the second point is they don't actually charge you unless you manually upgrade your account, and they give you up to 1,000 free API calls a month. So this should be fine. Simply go to this URL up the top here, and then you'll be able to sign up for free for a year, and that way your account will be enabled. Second of all, while you're using it, you may encounter the following error on the screen. If you do, there'll be a link in the Blue Prism exception. Simply follow that to enable billing for your project. I did encounter that, so just a quick heads up in case you see that at all. All right, now for the exciting bit. Now to actually use Google Vision within Blue Prism. Head on over to the studio. I'm going to create a new object in skills called Google Vision. Going to go hit next, hit finish. Going to open that up. And what you'll probably notice now is something you may not have seen in Blue Prism before, is you now have this skills tab on the right. This only applies to objects. You cannot see the processes. So that's why we need to use an object. We can click through them all, and you'll notice under the eye icon, visual perception, we now have Google Computer Vision. So we can drag that on. And when we open that up, we've got various sorts of options we can use in regards to images. The one we're going to use for this tutorial is landmark detection. So we're going to try and detect a landmark. So we'll call this detect landmark. It takes in two parameters, an image to recognize and a JWT token. You'll remember our credential was called Google JWT. So we just need to put in a text here, and that's going to tell it to use our Google JWT credential to authenticate to the Google Cloud platform to analyze an image. We'll grab our image in a moment, and we'll output response content and HTTP status code. So hit the eraser icon to create those. Let's line these up now. Let's connect it all up. And what we're going to do is we'll just leave it in this initialize page for now. Then we're going to drag a data item. We're going to call this input image. Give this a data type image. I've already prepared an image earlier, which you can download below, of the pyramids, which you can see here. So let's add that. Hit OK. In landmark detection, drag in your input image. Now let's run that from the start and let's see what happens. If you have a slow internet connection, it may take a second or two because it does need to upload the image in order to get the results. But if you're within an enterprise, usually they have a super fast internet connection, so this is not a problem. So you can see here, we have a HTTP status code of 200, which means it worked, and our response content, which is a bunch of text, which is actually something called a JSON data structure. So let's copy that. Let's paste it into our notepad editor. And I'm going to format that as JSON. And you can see here, if we scroll through, hey, it gets the pyramids of Giza. So it's got the Giza necropolis, Great Pyramid of Giza, Pyramid of Khafre, and so on. So our landmark detection actually worked. We were able to recognize a landmark and get it out in Blue Prism. So we can also, if we copy input image and name this input image 2, let's import the Eiffel Tower, for example. Hit OK. Let's use input image 2. Hit OK. Then rerun our process. Then rerun our object. And let's see what it picks up this time using our Eiffel Tower in input image 2. Response content, let's copy that into our notepad editor. You can see, boom, we've got the Eiffel Tower. We've got the gardens around the Eiffel Tower as well. So super useful. So next question you might have is, that's great, but how do I extract the text out of here? Like, it's all just a bunch of junk, and using text functions would be an absolute nightmare. Well, you'll remember that's where our JSON import came into play. So let's add the pyramids back in as input image. Let's make this a bit more cleaner. And then what we're going to do, we're going to drag down an action stage. We're now going to select utility JSON, and we're going to call the action JSON to collection. We want to grab the actual response content as an input. Output will store in the result. So we'll call this convert JSON to collection. And most Blue Prism skills and any sort of APIs will 99% of the time return JSON. That's the industry standard. And you can always tell it's JSON because it follows this pattern of brackets, your key and value pairs. Right here, if I go to my editor, we can see our key is mid, our value is this description here, our score is our key here, and the value to the right of it. So now that we're converting it to a collection, let's rerun our process again and see what happens when we actually store that in a collection. Okay, so we've got our JSON collection here. So if we go to current values, we notice we've got responses, we've got row 1 of 1. We click on that, we've got this JSON array, row 1 of 1, landmark annotations. If we click into that, you'll notice you've got 5 items here. If you click on that, you'll notice you actually get your description, the Giza here. If we go back, up 1, the Great Pyramid of Giza, and so on. So that's all well and good. So we've got all our JSON data into a usable collection now where we can actually extract the values. So let's actually get the first one out into a text data item. And what you need to do is remember this whole path up the top here, plus the value you want to get. So in order to access this description, we need to go to our collection results. We need to go .responses.json:_array .landmark annotations .json:_array .description. So I recommend you screenshot it. It's just easier to remember. Otherwise, I'll have it up on screen now. So we're going to extract the first value as a calculation stage, and we'll do value to text. We'll do result to text. We're going to take our collections results. We're going to store this result in value. Hit that little eraser icon to create it. And in order to access it, we need to do results.responses.json:_array .landmark annotations.json:_array .description. So unfortunately, it is a bit of a pain. It's a bit of a roundabout way to actually be able to get a value from JSON, but it's probably the most friendly and easy to understand in Blue Prism at this stage. So let's go back to the stage result to text. We'll set that to next stage. All right, so make sure your data item of value is of a data type text before you run it. Then actually run that stage. So we'll do result to text, and you'll notice we've got the Giza. So we've been able to get that from the JSON by converting it to a collection, then getting the whole path to it here. So that's how you can use Blue Prism skills. In this example, we used landmark detection. You can download the process below for your own use. You will need to actually add your own Google JWT credential in order to be able to use it, but it's there as an example. If this helped you out, don't forget to hit subscribe and like this video. I'm also thinking about putting together a course which will overview all the skills you can use in Blue Prism. In addition, being able to use custom machine learning, whether that be online or using your own local data model, and also going over some of the rules and regulations you actually need to watch out for, surprisingly, because you can get in a lot of trouble if you're sharing people's data with third companies such as Google, Microsoft, and so on. So if you're interested, check that out in the description below, and I'll have a pre-sign up link. Otherwise, if it's already out, you'll be able to sign up below. See you guys next time.